Hi folks, in this screencast I'm going to talk a little bit about one of the simple screen-oriented text editors you can use from the command line in Linux, which is Nano. There's a couple of questions that might be in your mind right now, which is why not just use some of the GUI-based applications like gedit is one that comes to mind. And the reason being is that, especially as administrators, you're not always going to have a graphical interface in front of you. We typically have it on a desktop, but for example, if you're logging in through SSH to another server somewhere and you're only at the command line, those GUI applications are going to do you no good. And frankly, any administrator worth his or her salt is going to be fluent in one or more of these non-GUI text editors. Now, the honest one of choice is VI, and we're going to talk about VI later, but there are some alternatives. They have a little bit of a more general learning curve to them, and that is Nano or Pico, Pico, on a Ubuntu distribution. They're aliased to the same application, which is the GNU Nano application. So let's take a look at that, for example. I am just sitting at my home directory, and I'm going to invoke it simply with the command nano, N-A-N-O. And up comes the interface. Now, this is strictly a character-based interface, so it's probably reminiscent of DOS, of old DOS things, if you're familiar with those. But everything that's done in Nano is done in its interface through control sequences. So if you direct your attention to the bottom of the screen, you'll see that there are a bunch of entries down there. For example, this little caret sign followed by a G to the right of it, it says get help. The caret sign is shorthand for control. So if I were to hit Control G, hold down Control and hit G, I get the Nano help. It's pretty elementary. And at the bottom of that help screen, you see are the applicable commands for the mode that I'm in right now. So I can advance through next and previous pages or lines or exit as indicated. So we're going to do a Control X and just get out of here. So if we were to make a simple file, if I were to say echo and oh, hello and welcome to Linux. And let's put a second line in there and print out the current date is. And notice I'm going to use the little back quote here around the command date. Now that back quote is the key immediately to the left of your number key if you have a top rows of numbers. It's also the key that when shifted is the tilde. And we'll talk a little bit more later about that back quoting so that I can use that built-in command. So I just have a little file here, and you can see that I haven't named it or written it out anywhere yet, so let's go ahead and write this out. And I'm going to write it out by using the write out command, which is Control-O. When I say Control-O, Nano drops me down to a prompt line and says, give me the name, and I'm going to call it hi.sh, because it's going to be a shell script. And once I enter that, Nano tells me that I wrote 2 lines, and he's even a little bit smart. If you notice the color coding that suddenly came into effect because it is context sensitive, he knows it's a shell script, and so there's going to be some coloring of different entities as he understands it, just to help you if the script gets a little bit more complex. But let's say that's all we want to do. So I want to exit, which is Control X. Control X just takes me back out. Now if I do an ls, I can see that I have this hi.sh, and if I want to run that, I'm going to use the sh command and say sh space hi.sh, and I run it, and there's my little script is run and prints out those messages along with the system date. Let's go back into Nano, and let's say I want to edit that file. Well, I can do it through the read command. So if you look down to the bottom, Control R is for reading the file. I do a Control R, and he asked me for the name of the file. Well, I happen to know what it is. And I'm going to type in hi, and I'm going to hit the tab key because even in this mode, Nano supports the file name completion. And I get the file brought into the buffer. So I'm going to add one more echo. It's nice to see you again. just for the sake of showing that we can enter something. Now, if I don't save this and I try to exit, it's slightly smart. So if I do a Control X, I get a message that says, "Do you want to save the modified buffer? If you answer no, it'll destroy changes." So I hit yes, and I'm going to call it again. I'm going to say write it out to hi.sh. He says it exists. Do you want to overwrite? Yeah. Hit the Y. I'm done. And now if I run that hi.sh again, I get the entire script run again. Okay, I can also edit the file directly by invoking nano and passing it at the command line. I'm going to say nano hi.sh. And here is my file. Okay, if I want to do a little bit of editing of the text, one thing that's pretty easy to do is to just use your arrow keys to move the cursor to where you want, and use your delete key or backspace key, and you can back over things. You can also delete an entire line by cutting it. If you look down to the help messages at the bottom, you see a Control K, which is cut text. If I hit a Control K, that cuts the entire current line. I want to move that line. I want to do a paste of that. I can do a Control U, which is uncut text, and you'll see that I get that line back. Notice it wasn't the entire line because previously I'd backed over using the delete or backspace key to get rid of some things. But one nice thing is you can do multiple cuts, like I'm going to do Control K, Control K. I'm going to go back to the top and hit a Control U, and you'll notice that the uncut will paste back everything that had been cut. So he collectively appends into his cut buffer, if you will, successive cuts. So this is a real quick and dirty way to get into files. There's a number of other things you can do in here, but we're going to leave it at that for right now. I find this to be a nice little quick, up-to-speed survival tool, and something you'll definitely want to be using, because again, as administrators, you're not always going to have a graphical interface in front of you. So feel free to go out on the net and search for some help or tutorials on Nano. It's all pretty straightforward. You will probably find some cheat sheets somewhere of all the commands summarized in a PDF or something. I'd encourage you to find that and download it. It's a handy thing to have. So thanks for your time. That's all for this one. Bye.